Connecting Indigenous musicians and artists to the world. Welcome to Indigenous Superstars with your host, Rhonda Head.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show this evening. It's always a pleasure to be back here in Indigenous Superstars, and I have one of the best jobs in the world. I get to connect and visit with amazing Indigenous superstars from all over the world. So you can catch my show on YouTube on my YouTube channel at Rhonda Head, and you can also subscribe. We're also streaming live on my Facebook page, the Indigenous Superstar page, and my fan page. It's also on Twitter as well. So I just want to announce that a couple of weeks ago, we had a really crisis here on my reserve of Pasquac Cree Nation, and we had an outbreak within outbreak, and our whole care home was all the residents in the care home contracted COVID-19, and that was 28 residents, and the chief announced that the care home, or the McGilvery care home announced on Friday that they are now all COVID free and out of isolation. So that was a really awesome announcement that they made, and I want to thank the military for coming to our reserve, for helping our community out when we really needed it. And I want to thank our leadership, our chief and council, Christian Sinclair, and the council for leading us through this crisis. And we had like really high numbers, and now we're down to 24 positive cases on our reserve, and I'll tell you how many 168 recovered in our community. So it was a real drastic change. Our community is still on lockdown, and we still have a ways to go. We want to get to zero. So big congratulations to the community of Opaskwayak Cree Nation for all working hard and cooperating and abiding by the rules, by the what the chief and council did for us. So I want to give a big shout out to them, and a shout out to the staff at McGilvery Care Home and the military that came to help us. Hi. So I have a really exciting guest on this evening. She's a really good friend of mine, and she's so talented. And I'm just going to read her bio. The musical guest on Indigenous Superstars tonight is Patti Castoric. When it comes to old-time fiddling in Canada, Patti is the boss, says Calvin Volrath, North America's Fiddlers Hall of Fame member. Patti Kusturok's old-time fiddle style is characterized by a pulsating rhythmical lilt that is guaranteed to get you on the dance floor, and that is so true. Toe-tapping music. Often referred to as one of the smoothest fiddle players in North America, Patti is known for her effortless delivery of some of the best traditional Canadian fiddle music of all time. A recording artist, Patti is in high demand for performances, teaching, recording, and judging fiddle contests across the continent. At the age of 4, Patti began to learn playing fiddle and has a resume that reads like that of an Olympic champion. A few of her credits include the Canadian Junior Champion in 1985, 3-time champion at the famous Pembroke, Ontario competition, 6-time Manitoba champion, 3-time Grand North American champion, and Patti won the prestigious Canadian Grand Masters Fiddling Championship in Ottawa. Patti was the first woman in history of Canada to ever win, and was the very first person from Western Canada to attain that crown. Please welcome my friend and talented Patti Castoric. Yay! Wow, what an impressive bio.
Thank you, Rhonda.
That's awesome. Wow, so exciting. Well, I'm so excited to have you here this evening. You're my first fiddle player.
Yeah.
Yeah, and according to your bio, it looks like the best fiddle player.
Well, you got to make those bios sound good, right? So
Well, the awards are awesome accolades to be acknowledged amongst your peers, that's for sure. And I know there's tons and tons of awesome fiddle players right across Canada, and to get those awards are pretty special.
yeah, absolutely. I've been I competed since I was a little kid, so as I grew up, it was really thrilling to get some, some trophies, and that was the exciting part for me.
Right on. So what made you decide to get into music? Like how did you get into it?
Well, we always had music in the house, whether it was the country radio station here in Winnipeg or fiddle music. We had 8-track tapes that we listened to, and LP records, and most of it was fiddle music. And I'm not even sure why. My dad played a little bit. My mom didn't play, but my mom's dad was a accordion player from Scotland, and I remember growing up listening to his stuff. And my dad's parents came from the Ukraine, so they his dad, I remember him being a Ukrainian dancer. So he would, I was 4 years old when I started to play. And I remember my grandfather on my dad's side, dancing, and I would just have my little fiddle, and I wasn't really even playing a whole lot, but, yeah, those are my earliest memories. And I just fell in love with the fiddle music. We listened to Don Messer and Andy DeJarlis and all of the greats in Canada. And when it came time for me to take music lessons, like most kids did in those days where I was from, my dad, I remember saying, well, we don't have a piano, so we got lots of fiddles in the house, so that's what it's going to be. It's portable, and that's what it was. So I started on a really tiny fiddle, and just fell in love with it. And eventually I started with kind of classical music, but then I went to the fiddling stuff because that's what I really, really wanted to do. So
Right
that's kind
on.
of in a nutshell.
Awesome. So are you ready to play your first piece?
Sure, I can play something for you. I'll play you, we call it the Métis National Anthem. It's the Red River Jig.
Yay! Those my toes are just snapping at tapping.
Ah, smoking toes, yeah.
So we have some comments already coming in. Aaron Brown from the States said, awesome, that's so cool. And Ann Ross said, hi, Patty, nice to see you. Love Doug and Ann in Flin Flon. And Joseph Aninu says, awesome. So all
Right
the
on.
comments are already starting to come in.
I see
So
that.
I have some questions about all your awards that you've won. I have the first one I wanted to ask is can you tell us about the Grand Masters Fiddling Championship?
Yeah, the Grand Masters started in Ottawa probably about, I think it was 30 or 31 years ago. And it's an invitation only competition. And the winner becomes the Canadian Grandmaster champion. So I've been invited to it ever since it started. And a few years after it started, well, my first year there, I got second place, I think, or third. I can't remember how it was, or no, that's not how it went. First year I entered, I made the top 11. They had the top 11 would get prizes. And then a few years later, I would come in, I think I got a third. And then all of a sudden one year at 94, I won, and I was just floored. I couldn't believe it, because like such great fiddlers at this contest. And then the next year it happened again, and then the next year it happened again. And at that time you couldn't enter anymore. You were kicked out of the contest 3 times and you're done. But now they've changed the rules. Actually, it's if you've won it, you have kind of a green card to go and a green light to go and enter it anytime. So I haven't entered it since then, just because I don't compete anymore. But that was probably my biggest honor and my biggest shock. I always joke about how I felt like when I first won it. It was like that IKEA commercial where that lady's running out of the store and saying, start the car, because you think or something. Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
So how many people are invited to compete against each other?
Well, the way it was there was 5 maximum from every province. They would never get that many people. So, I mean, they'd get, probably 30 to 40 contestants every year. And the contest is still running. We were actually hosting it here in Winnipeg this year. We were supposed to host it in August, at the end of August. That's when it always is, because it always used to be in Ottawa, and then somebody put a bid towards to offer to host it in Saskatoon, and it was in Saskatoon one year, and it was a huge success. It kind of brought new life to the competition. So now we kind of jump around. So this year was going to be Manitoba's year, and I was the head of the committee to do it. But of course, with what's going on, we canceled it. And next year, 2021, it's supposed to be in Halifax or Dartmouth, or sorry, Truro, Nova Scotia. So we'll wait and see if it's going to happen then. But we are slated to have it in Winnipeg now, tentatively for 2022. So fingers are crossed that we can actually have live music events by then.
That's awesome. So is it open to the public? Like, can the public go and watch a competition?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's open to anybody. We had booked the Prairie Theatre Exchange, and we're hoping to fill it, and yeah, it's definitely open to anybody. And so this year what we did was we just had an online, we had a kind of a showcase of all the past winners. So that's up on YouTube. If you can look up Canadian Grandmasters fiddle champion, fiddle contest, and I'm sure you'll find that video.
That is so cool. Yeah, I'm gonna go check that out. So what was the first award that you won? Your very first fiddling award. When was that?
My first award, I think it might have been a trophy for being the youngest contestant at a fiddling contest in Miami, Manitoba. I'm not even sure. I think either that one, or I got second place at the Manitoba Open Championships, which was it used to be in Fort Garry at the big Century Arena. And that's where I got to see all these local fiddle players that really, made me really, really want to play and see fiddle music live. I remember getting a trophy. It was a plaque in the shape of the province of Manitoba, and it was second prize and at that time in the junior class, it was 18 and under, and I was 7 years old. So,
oh wow!
I think there was only 3 contestants and I got third, or there's 2 contestants and I got second. It was one of those things, right? So, and I remember sitting at the table and I was polishing my plaque, because I was just I threw the check at my mom. It's like, I don't want my trophy.
That is so awesome. So, your training, can you tell us about? Did you take fiddle lessons, or did you go to university, or were you self-taught?
Well, I started with the Suzuki program, which is through the university, and that is a program that really has your ear utilized. So it's not open a book and learn notes and play. It's listening over and over to music and then getting it. I call it learning by osmosis. And it's a really great program. And even to this day with my students, I tell them, listen. That's the key to learning and being a good musician. But I started with that when I was 4. And then when I was about 6, my mom took me to Garden City Shopping Center. There was a fiddling contest there, and Reg Bovet was the guest fiddler, and he was on stage. And I had listened to his records, up until that point, and I saw this guy live on stage that I had on a record at home, and it was just like meeting Elvis. And I got to meet him that day, and it was really, really cool. And that was really my first inkling that I really wanted to play fiddle music. So my parents looked around Winnipeg and found a teacher that would teach classical music so I could still learn the technique and everything, but also that would teach fiddle music, because at that time the Suzuki program wouldn't touch it. So they found a teacher for me. His name was Mike Dubas, and he was the retired railroader, and he was just a wonderful, wonderful man. And he put me through some classical exams, and then when he retired from teaching, I took over his students. So that's kind of where I went. And I mean, growing up too, I spent a lot of time not only listening to records at home, but Reg Bovet, as I mentioned, was from Winnipeg, and he would phone my mom and dad and say, "Hey, bring Patti over to the house. I want to play some tunes for her." And he would play me some of his new tunes that are classics now. And here I am sitting across the table from Reg Bovet, and that kind of thing. So that you can't put a price on. That's way more valuable than any kind of lessons you can buy at a music school, for sure. So I like to, I'm really lucky to experience.
It's so exciting, especially when you find a really good music teacher and they push you and they help you. And I had that when I was younger. She was a really great piano teacher, and then she moved away, and I just cried. I was so sad, and I couldn't find a teacher the way she taught me, and I couldn't connect with any other teacher. So I stopped taking lessons, and it's one of the saddest things. Like that's one of my regrets that I've had. But like I said, I couldn't find a connection with another teacher, and I couldn't learn from them the way I was learning from my piano teacher that I learned so much from. So you're really, it's really awesome when you find a really good music teacher and just stick with them, right?
Yeah, exactly. And now I teach to this day, and I teach for the Frontier School Division. So I go up to some of the northern communities and work with them, and try to be that inspiration. And I really miss them though, because I can't travel there, of course, but hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon, yes. So are you ready for your next piece?
Sure.
I'm sure the audience is waiting.
Okay. I'm going to play a little bit of, I'll play the whole thing, which is a little bit, but this is a tune that my son and I, Alex, we both wrote together, and we wrote it separately, but we put it together. My mom passed away in 2007, and maybe not 2000. I can't remember. It was a while back. Anyway, I guess it was 2007. Anyway, and right after that, I wanted to write a waltz for her, and I could come up with one part of it. I couldn't think of a second part. So I asked my son, who was 16 at the time, if he could come up with something, and he came up with another part. We put them together, and it sounded like we sat down and wrote them together. They just blended so well. So we called it Memories of Eva. So I'll play it for you.
That was beautiful. That was a waltz, right?
That was a waltz. Yeah.
Wow, that was so beautiful. Can you tell us about your style of fiddling and the styles of songs that you perform?
Sorry, I didn't catch that last part.
And the styles of songs that you perform, like with your style of fiddling, like the waltz, and there's two step, and there's different reels. Like, can you explain to the audience about the
Oh yeah.
different styles of fiddle music that you play?
For sure. Like my kind of music that I play is Canadian old time fiddle music. Like I said, growing up listening to Don Messer, Reg Bovet, Andy DeJarlis, Graham Townsend, that kind of thing. So that's where my roots are. And being from Manitoba and listening to all this wonderful Métis music around and attending Métis events and playing for square dancing and jigging all the time. And that's where my heart lies. So we play for old time dances a lot. So at old time dances, you're going to hear waltzes like I just played. You're going to hear the Red River Jig like I played first, and you're going to hear polkas, and polkas are fast dances. And the kind of music I play is geared to dancing. So I always say, even if you don't know how to dance, when I play, my goal is to make you want to dance, whether you know how or not. So if I get you tapping your feet, that's what I want to do. So it's all about the feel and coming from the heart. So at an old time dance, we would probably in a night, we'd play waltzes, we'd play polkas and two steps, which are two similar kind of things. We'd play foxtrots, which are like swing tunes, and we do pattern dances, which are, you know, dances that have specific steps that we play for. So we do a schottische, we do a barn dance, which is another one of those, the 7-step, the heel toe polka, that kind of thing. So that's kind of the stuff that I play around here. I also play a few other, you know, tunes in different styles. Like I play a few bluegrass tunes. I'll play a few, you know, Texas style tunes, or Scottish, Cape Breton, that kind of thing, Irish. But my heart and my first love is the you know, the Métis music from the prairies here.
That's so awesome. And as a fellow musician, I'm sure it's with all musicians, but when we perform, we perform our like you know, we an energy exchange when we're performing live, and for me, and I'm sure it's for you too, the best feeling in the world is how you move your audience, whether it's to dance, to clap, to cry, to standing ovation. That's what, like, I perform for that. I love moving my audience, and I'm sure you
Yeah,
do too. Because when I hear you play, I just want to dance too. So you're
yeah,
also
good.
right when you say that.
Yeah.
Your music
And
is like you play so flawlessly.
what's that?
I said you play so flawlessly, like just
Oh,
perfect.
well, thank you. But you mentioned about moving the audience. Remember when I was a kid, um, playing a lot in care homes, and that's, you know, you see people in there that are in their chairs and they're non-responsive, and I'd be playing and I'd look at their foot or their hand, and it, ever so slightly you can see movement, you know, and or you'd see a tear, and that's to me what it's all about too. And I played in tons of those places around, and whether it's at a place like that or, you know, on a stage doing a concert, like just connecting with the audience. I love that. So yeah, it's not just the music, but also, you know, the stories about the music too.
Right. It's just great being a musician. Um, I wanted to mention to the audience that you were indicted into the North American Fiddlers Hall of Fame in July 2016. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I got a call one day saying that I was on the ballot to, you know, be voted for, and I hadn't heard anything after that, and I didn't really think anything of it. And then all of a sudden I got another phone call saying, well, you've been voted in. So it was really cool. I've heard about it for years because one of my idols, Graham Townsend, told me about being down there and playing and having his name on the wall. And when I went there, I guess in 2019. I did a concert there at the Hall of Fame. It's in upstate New York. That's where they have it. And I got to actually see the wall and see my plaque on the wall, and the other names around, like, you know, some of my heroes like Mark O'Connor and Bobby Hicks and Roy Acuff, and you know, so that was a huge thrill for me. So one of those, definitely put it on the resume. Things
That
for
is so
sure.
exciting. Congratulations.
Yeah, I get butterflies just thinking about it. It was pretty cool.
That's such a great honor for sure. So are you ready to do your final piece?
Sure.
I'm gonna ask okay, play your final piece, and then I'm gonna ask the audience a question after you're done.
Okay. I'm gonna play a tune that I'm gonna play a Métis tune that's kind of crooked. It's called The Old Reel of Eight.
Ooh, I loved it. Thank you. That's so awesome. Well, I just want to acknowledge the audience that tuned in tonight. They're from all over the United States and right throughout Canada. They're all complimenting. So cool, says Joseph Enenu. Aaron Brown said nice, and Keith Ginter said absolutely when we were talking about how music moves people and how we play and part of that energy exchange of them clapping and us playing. But yeah, your fiddle playing is so so catchy and lively, and I'm so glad that you're my guest tonight. So I know the audience is gonna is I was gonna ask the audience, but I'm just gonna make a request if you could do one more fiddle tune, and I know the audience would love that as well.
Sure. Let me
Okay.
see. Okay, I'll do like I said, to play for a lot of square dances. So in square dancing, you have different changes of tunes. You have first change, second change, third change. So a tune that we might play for a first change is also known as a jig. But when you talk about the Red River jig, that's not an actual jig. So it's kind of confusing. But a jig is like more of a that kind of thing. Jiggity, jiggity, jig. So I'm going to do a jig that we would play for a first change in square dancing. This one is written by Johnny Arcand, and it's called Moses First Change.
That was so awesome. Thank you so much for playing that. It
Oh,
just
you're
brought back memories of my late parents and my late auntie when they used to go to dances, and they'd also play music like that all the time, and that was so just brought back lots of childhood memories and love. So thank you so much for playing that. Thank you, and
oh,
everyone's
you're
just like
so
making so
welcome.
many awesome comments. She's an awesome fiddler. Eugene Rat, Efrain from my friend from New Mexico said very cool. Went to get a soda, and I started to skip a little.
A soda. I knew he was American just by saying that.
He's from New Mexico. That's how they say their pop. They call it soda. And then Aaron Brown from the States said great music and show, Rhonda and Patti. So it was
Mhm.
such a pleasure having you on the show tonight. Where can the audience find your music?
Well, first of all, Rhonda, thanks so much for having me. And you can find my music at my website. It's pattikusturok.com, and you can see my name there. It's spelt exactly like that. And I get my name spelt wrong so many times, so it's kind of nice to see it spelt right. And I do post a lot on social media, on Facebook, and I'm actually just starting this week. Tomorrow, because it's the 1st of December, on YouTube, it's the Canadian Fiddlers Advent Calendar. So I have a different fiddler every day of December doing a fiddle tune. So this is my 3rd year doing that, and you can check that out. So just look up Canadian Fiddlers Advent Calendar. I'll be posting it on Facebook too. So yeah, so I have CDs, and I have downloads, and yeah, all kinds of stuff. So
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So do you have any parting words?
I just want to say that it's really nice that you're doing this and featuring your peers and other Indigenous artists, and I'm really thrilled that you asked me to be your first fiddle player. Hopefully you get more in the future.
There's more. There's so many Indigenous musicians I want to interview.
Well, I'm talking fiddle players. Like we're going to take over the world, right? So
Oh yeah, we are one show at a time.
one jig at a time.
But thank you so much for being on the show tonight, and I'm sure you lifted a lot of spirits tonight, and I know you lifted up mine, and thank you for playing for us and giving us that energy that fiddle creates, that you create, that sound that comes out. It's so beautiful, and you play effortlessly, and congratulations on all your awards, and I'm looking forward to when COVID is over. I'm looking forward to watching you perform live. I'm sure your shows are like have so much energy, and no wonder why everyone wants to dance.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to get back out there and play live again. So, and I want to
Yeah.
say hi to Ann and Doug Ross, and Ann Ross and Doug in Flin Flon too. They hosted Jeremy and I for Home Roots a couple of years
Oh,
ago.
nice.
Lovely people. So, yeah, I want to get back doing stuff like that for sure.
That's awesome. And I just want to read to you one comment from Brianne Island from Vancouver. She said, incredible fiddling. Thank you, Patti. It's amazing how good a bit of fiddle music can lift our spirits during such a time. And that's so true.
Oh, nice.
I believe that she's just summed it up for all the viewers watching you this evening. Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And I just want to announce, I just want to announce, be safe, be healthy. And our next guest on Indigenous Superstars is the talented Don Homero.
Ooh.
So have a good week, everybody.
Tune in again next time when Rhonda interviews another up-and-coming Indigenous superstar. Only on Indigenous.